I'm recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Medieval Engineers. It's a game that I have a bit of experience with. I've probably played, 2 or 3 hours worth, but I am by no means an expert. So, what I'm going to do is just start up a new world. I'm going to name it YouTube Let's Play version 1. We're going to do survival mode. We will make this a... Should I do a friends only game or should I do a public game? I'll do public. Anyone can join. Max players. We'll set max players to 50. Seems like a lot. We'll do 30. How's that? 30 players. Auto save every 5 minutes. That sounds pretty good. Medieval Earth. We don't want just an empty planet. Advanced settings. Inventory size 2x. The normal inventory size is just way too small in my opinion. No permadeath. Nope. Day duration. Day duration. Make that quite long. Season duration. Sure, that works. Max objects. Sure. Resource decay 300 seconds. Abandoned castle decay 168 hours. We'll bring that up a bit because I don't want people's castles getting destroyed. Structural integrity, yes. Ruin decay, yes. Maximum NPC/animals. No, we'll put that up a bit. 15x. Servants per player. 2 barbarians, animals, fast travel. Yep. Okay. Good. Okay. Great. Let's dig in. Shall we? So apparently this map, this medieval Earth map, has caves you can explore, like you can see in this loading screen. I've yet to find any of these caves, but I hope it took me a very long time in this game to figure out how to build roofs. I realize that sounds really silly, but it's more difficult than you can imagine. Alright, so this is creative. I can't fly. So first order of business is we have to figure out a place to build. And also, in this starting house, there's a wardrobe where you can change the look of your character, change your appearance. So, I'm gonna be a male, because that's what I am in real life. This is a not very good saturation on the color. I don't want to be super saturated, right? That'll just look kind of silly. Go with a blue? A light blue. Value. What does that do? I don't even know what that does. Looks good. We're going with it. So that's me. What's up here? This is a crafting table. Yeah, that's a crafting bench or table or whatever you want to call it. But mostly I was here, so I can go all the way up here if I can figure out spiral staircase and try to scout somewhere to build. So what I've noticed the key with medieval engineers is that you want to find a place where there is iron. Iron is one of the more rare or harder to find resources in this game. It's very, very important. So I know there's iron up on this hill, and I'm actually honestly tempted to build up on there. The only major drawback with building on that hill is it has you have a really hard time getting enough wood up there because there's no forest on top of that hill, of course. Last time I played, I built in the forest and I just found some iron in the forest, so that might be what we're gonna do. Haven't decided yet. I would like to build on top of the mountain, but wood is definitely gonna be a problem up there. Alright, well, we'll just go... We'll go over to the mountain and see what the situation's like. If it's not too bad, we will build up there. Another thing about this game is you have to always be very aware of your food, because it runs out quite fast and it will start to damage you if you do not eat. It's not as punishing as some survival games that I've played, but it's not super straightforward. Alright, so what the hell is this? Is there just campfires? They're honestly never looked in this building before. It's just some crafting benches and... okay. Eye on the prize, man. It's a pumpkin? I'll take the pumpkin. A little extra food. It's gonna take a little while to get over there. So the only thing we really have to worry about is running out of food. And dying of starvation before we get there. As you can see, this game is very vast. While I'm on my way there, while I'm going to, keep my eyes open for other iron deposits, because there's potentially ones in better, more suitable locations than on top of a mountain. Not enough stamina. Alright, so I'm making myself exhausted by doing all this sprinting, which is understandable. I would be exhausted too. It's a very nice looking game. It's very vast. Makes you feel quite small in the world, yes. So there's some hay down there. I don't see any other iron deposits besides that very large one on top of this mountain. What I could do is I could build down here, maybe on top of this smaller hill, and then I could go up the mountain to mine iron. That might be a good idea, because then my actual house will be a lot closer to trees, you know, wood sources, than if I'm actually on top of the mountain. Not sure how climbable this mountain is, though. I don't know if it's going to be a struggle every time to work my way up the mountain. Is that cave over there? No, I think that's just the rock. So another thing that can be not really tricky, but it depends where you are. Getting rock, the large rock, can be a little difficult. And we start constructing stone structures, you need a good amount of it. And if, say, you're in the middle of the forest, you have to tunnel pretty decently far down to hit the stone. But if you're next to a mountain like this one, as you can see, it's just exposed. Just exposed. So yeah, it's a whole lot easier. You know what? Thinking we should build on that hill. Thinking that might be our best bet. Or we could build in this forest. This forest might be a good bet too. It's just a lot of wood, you know. You always want wood. You don't start with... You need to collect wooden sticks, so... To start off in this game, you don't have an axe or anything, and it's not like in Minecraft where you punch trees, you know. It's, you actually have to go around and collect stones and sticks in the forms of saplings to be able to craft your first hatchet. So now that I have a hatchet, I can start collecting logs. So, honestly, this forest is fairly level, which is something you want to look for and somewhere to build. So I think this might be our ticket. So I'm going to start collecting logs. And you want to be very careful when doing this, because if that hits you on the way up, that log, when it falls, it instant kills you. If you don't have a bed down, that means you're starting back at the spawn. If you have a bed down, you can spawn at the bed, but you want to be very, very careful of that. I don't know why they make it an instant kill. Seems a little harsh for something so not difficult to do, but this game is, I'm pretty sure, not released yet. It's still in early access, so I guess take that with the grain of salt, because I know I am salty about it. Alright, so that's one tree collected. So pretty much every time you start the game, it plays, or it goes through this little set of tutorial tasks. And honestly, they're a good idea to do them, because it sort of sets you up more or less with the things you need to succeed. This game's fairly confusing starting out. It's not... The buttons and everything aren't as straightforward as you would expect from such a pretty standard survival crafting sort of deal. With that being said, the things you can build are quite cool. When you get later on down the line, you can build things like catapults and whatnot out of components that you have to put together yourself, which is just really cool. Alright, so I collected some logs. Now what I need to do is craft a crafting table. I have to craft the crafting table, because yeah, why wouldn't you have to craft a crafting table? Just gonna slap it down in the middle of the world. If things aren't snapped into the ground in this game, they just sort of free float. So this, since I placed it above the ground, is actually free floating right now, and you can attach a rope to it and actually drag it around, or I can push it around like that, but I can still use it. So something to keep in mind. So that comes into play big time later when you're building. If you don't snap floors to your foundation when you walk into your house, you actually knock all of the floors out, which is always funny. Until you have to build it again, of course. Craft some timbers. So it wants me to craft timbers. So to craft in this game, the basic things you can just craft straight out of your inventory. So things like timbers, the recipe is literally just log, a single tree log, then you press craft, and it's going to give you 4 timbers in return. So the return rate on timbers is quite good. So I just crafted a bunch of timbers, and it wants me to craft a bed. So this is essentially your respawn point. Beds take 4 timbers. What can be a little confusing is you actually have to move the materials you want to craft with into the crafting table for it to work. So as you can see, it wasn't highlighted before. Now it's colored in, not red. So I can craft it. So click craft, and boom, bed. Got a bed, which I do have to then move over to my inventory before it's in my inventory. So I'm just gonna plop that down, and now you can press F to claim your bed, and there is my respawn point. So now it wants me to craft a wooden shovel, which you can craft in your inventory. Now I have a wooden shovel, and now it wants me to collect dirt. So what you can do in this game is to get small stones, you can dig dirt and then craft the dirt essentially into rocks. So that is what it's having me do right now. So I just collected sufficient dirts. So now I take this, click on this, craft it until I have 10 stones. But I'm actually just going to do all of it because dirt is kind of useless. Besides for the whole crafting into small stones thing. So I'm going to make a fire pit. Now it's going to want me to put down the fire pit. Or campfire, if you will. They don't call it a fire pit. So there we go. Now it wants me to make I think a mushroom soup is what's next. So you can find all kinds of things to collect on the ground in this game. Certain things spawn more heavily in certain, I guess you could call them biomes. So mushrooms can be a little tricky to find out in the fields and obviously on top of like mountains. But when you're out in the forest, they're typically plentiful. Now it's sort of a little tricky to find them right now, which is kind of going against what I just said, but they're typically pretty plentiful in the forest. Let's see. I know there's some around here. I know you're hiding on me, mushrooms. I know you're here. Probably just walked by like 30 of them and didn't notice. So if I did, be sure to call me a dummy in the comments below. I just need one more thing of mushrooms, right? Oh no, I have enough, right? I have enough mushrooms. Now it just wants me to collect wooden sticks. I realize everybody's probably ripping their hair out right now with my inability to realize what's going on, to stay on task. Alright. So to make mushroom soup, we're going to access the campfire. We need fuel, and we need to put these ingredients into the campfire. Oh, not the rocks. We want the roots. Now we're going to craft the mushroom soup. Takes a little while to cook. Just burning up my precious sticks. It's fine. They're just sticks. You'll be okay. Actually, I have 9 sticks in my inventory, so I'm going to take the soup, take my ingredients back, because, like I said previously, eating's very important in this game. Something I didn't realize the first time is that you can actually eat roots, and the roots are actually a very good source of food in this game, because you'll have millions of them, and it's essentially just free food. So keep that in mind. I'm going to top my food off. There we go. I'm at 100 food now, so I don't have to worry about that for a little while. It wants me to create a wooden mallet. So wooden mallets are what you use to build in this game. But building is when you first start playing the game, building is not explained that well to you. See, up here it says settling down. Open the G screen by pressing G. Then drag the log stockpile to the toolbar. Place the log stockpile into the world. The block can be rotated using Q and E keys. So, I don't really like the wording on that. And here's why. G screen doesn't really explain what it is. It's essentially the building screen. And it has all your building stuff in it. G screen, it's not a good name. It's really not a good name. So, I have that gripe with this game. So I already have a log stockpile on my hut bar, so you don't really even need to do that in the tutorial. And honestly, if you're kind of lost, you'll probably just see it on your bar and click on it, and you won't even know how to get to the build screen really. that's another gripe. It shouldn't just hold your hand in that way. You need to learn how to get to that build screen, or else you will never build anything. So, you essentially building, you place down a structure where you want it to be, and then you have to use your mallet and some materials to finish it. So now it's finished. It's ready to be filled with logs. Okay. So I need to now create a research table. Now a research table is what is used to make it so you can craft more advanced recipes. The caveat is you need to craft it through a crafting table. So first you have to craft the crafting table, and then you have to build the research table. You can't build the research table first. So there it is. Takes 8 timbers. You get 4 timbers per log, so that's 2 logs. 2 logs worth. So now I have the research bench, or research table. Now I'm going to place it down. I placed this one in the ground so it can't be moved, as you can see. So it wants me to research carpentry. So to do that, I need to craft some more timbers. I also need to collect large diagonal timbers, which is another timber you can build. It wants me to, well, so on top of that, for some reason, you need to have a crafting table. So if you noticed, the crafting table costs 2 logs to make, and the research table costs 8 timbers. So essentially, they cost the same amount of resources to build. So now, it wants me to research carpentry. So carpentry allows you to build a good amount more things out of wood, obviously. It allows you to build things like furniture. As well as, I think it's required to build a house. Is that true? No, it's not. But it requires you to build some of the more fancy wooden house components, like rounded floors and whatnot. It also allows you to build stockpiles. And you're going to say, well, why do I need stockpiles? I don't understand why I would need stockpiles. Well, so like I said before, the default inventory of this game, if you can imagine, is about half of this. So it's 12 slots, which is essentially a joke. But even with 28 slots, your inventory fills up almost immediately. So it's really good to have stockpiles of resources at your base, so every time you're trying to build, you're not running out and grabbing everything. You can just create a surplus of it back at your base. So what happened there is I just crafted the carpentry research skill. It showed up here. I right-clicked, and that made me learn the carpentry skill, so I can now craft those things. So that essentially is the end of the tutorial in this game. It just abruptly ends. It doesn't even say anything to you, which is, again, is a little strange. So the game essentially thinks you know everything you need to know about the game now, which is false, but you know, we'll go with it. So what I'm going to need to do is collect a lot more house building materials. So building houses in this game is pretty resource intensive, and it's pretty wonky. You'll see it when we get to it. It's not nearly as straightforward as some other games that I'm gonna not mention a million times. Other crafting building games. Did that deer just bark? What in the world? Alright, whatever dude. Whatever, deer. You bark it up. I mean, you do you. I don't judge, deer. You can bark. You bark. It's fine. Alright, so I just crafted a good amount more logs. So, another thing about this game is that stumps stay, and usually you can hit them and get them out of here, but for some reason it's not letting me hit that one. Not really sure why. It might be a glitch, but like I was saying before, to craft houses you press G. The G screen, which is essentially the build screen, and you need to drag the components that you want to use to build. So right now I'm going to use a platform to your hotbar so you can start building them. So I'm just going to build a pretty simple house to get started. Nothing too elaborate. The snapping in this game is... it's interesting. I've seen worse snapping, but it's by no means good. So you essentially have to target like the top of whatever you're snapping to, but you can't be standing in the perimeter, if that makes any sense. So I just snapped all those together. What we're gonna run into for a problem I can already see on this build is that the jumping height, how high you can jump, your character can jump, is not high. So pretty much to build anything that is off of the ground, you have to build stairs to it, and then you can remove the stairs. So like I was saying, the building's a little wonky, but that comes into play big time when you're building a roof, because to access any roof you have to build stairs up to it, which you then have to destroy, because you have to be... See, there it is, the tree. It just rolled over and one-shot me. I told you. Luckily I can respawn to my bed because I built one, but that is what I'm talking about. That thing literally just tapped me and I just exploded. I don't know how else to say it. It's a strange system they have there, but no harm, no foul. All my stuff is on the ground. I just have to drag it all over, and we'll be back in business. Though I do still find that system perplexing, or that why that is in the game. I don't know. I think it has to do something with... this game is like a physics-based game at some level. So when you build like catapults, say, and you launch a rock, and it picks up momentum through the air, that momentum calculates the impact velocity, say if you're shooting it at a wall, and that determines the amount of damage it does to the wall. So say I was sitting on top of that hill that the iron's on, this mountain, and I was to roll a boulder off of it, and my house was down here, and that boulder came in contact with my house, it would go straight through my house pretty much. It would destroy my house. So I feel like that's the reason why trees kill you like that, because their weight, they have very immense amount of weight, right? So when they make contact with you in the game's physics calculation, I guess we'll call it, it thinks that you just got hit with something very, very heavy, essentially, which puts it over the kill limit, I guess, if you'll call it. I don't know. I am just waffling on, so I am going to craft some timbers because they're pretty needed, and I needed to get those trees out of the way. Okay. Really, that was only one tree worth of timbers. So something you'll notice in this game is that one of these big trees is a lot of wood, and that's another reason why these stockpiles come in such handy, is because you're not gonna have space for all this stuff. And the chests, especially the small chests, and you don't access large chests until you start crafting iron. The small chests have very few spaces, so you're gonna fill those up really fast. But a stockpile can hold a very large amount of logs, as you can see. 33 logs, full logs, and then the the timber stockpile can hold 33 stacks of 5 timbers. So quite a bit of resources can be held in one of those. So that's cool. Honestly, I think we'll just start with this size of a shack. Yeah. Okay, so it's a little weird because you need to put floors down on top of platforms, but the platforms, it's really weird. The platforms have to be built, and the walls sort of, it's a lot easier to place down the floors if the walls are already built. You'll see. It's they don't snap like you'd like them to. You can aim at the side of the platform, which can usually make it work, but it usually takes some fidgeting around. So we'll just finish building these wooden support platforms, from which we will build the house on top. Thrilling, I know, thrilling. Okay, those are built. I'm not going to finish building the stairs yet because I'm not sure I'm going to keep them there. So, what's happening here? I realize this looks strange. Why is this happening? Why is it all red? That is because it's trying to place something below it. It does this at least I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So what I'm going to actually have to do is place walls down first, and then build the walls, and then place floors after. So bear with me. So that's a door. We'll make 2 windows in the front. Window. Oh, window. You press E and Q to rotate, by the way. Boom. Wall. Flat wall. It's a flat wall. We'll just do walls on the side. Regular walls. And then we'll make it match. So we'll do, well, kind of match. We're not going to put a door back here. And then we're going to do regular wall right here. Okay. So now that those are down, I'm not sure it's going to let us place the floor. So now that just those frames are down, it's going to let us place the floor frames. I don't know why it insists you do it in this order without being incredibly difficult, but it does. So we're gonna hammer in these floors, and then the reason I didn't so that crafting table in the bed you can pick up whenever, but it's a one-click pickup if you don't lock them into the ground, and you have to hold F if you do lock them into the ground. So I'm lazy, and I wanted to be able to just one-click pick them up, so I didn't place them into the ground, because I'm going to put them in here. Probably for now we'll keep the research table outside. I don't think I'm going to have space for it in this current house, but after that we should be good. I'm gonna go grab some more logs from the stockpile to make timbers. I'm probably gonna need more sticks, I would imagine. So craft more timbers. Just kicked my bed again. All right. Just put my hammer away. There we go. Yeah, I need more wooden sticks, but wooden sticks are pretty easy to get. You just have to run around and collect some saplings. Collect these berries while I'm here, and the freaking mushrooms too, because eating is important. How many times I have to reiterate that? It's not a sapling. Trying to grab that, it's not even a sapling. Way to go! Way to go! All right. Collect these, and let's get back. Alright, finish up this wall right there. This wall's finished. I didn't know if I finished that. Hammer in this wall. This wall with a window. The doorway. The window to the wall. So the sweat drips down and falls. Those aren't the real words, but those were the censored words when I was in middle school. Alright. So this is the foundations of the house. And that is actually where I'm going to stop for today. Because the roof building is time consuming and fairly difficult. On this small of a house, it's not that bad. But if you don't know how to do it, it's a nightmare. It's going to take a long time. Well, it's going to take a good amount of time. And this episode is already quite long. So that is where I'm going to leave you. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Throw me a comment. Subscribe to the channel. All that good stuff. I plan on making more of these. I hope you find them informative. And yeah. Have a good one, everybody.